I make no apologies. Am I on? I make no apologies that I'm now standing up to present a sermon to you at 12:15 because you know what? We don't get to honour the young folk in our church often enough. You know, it was 2 months ago that I stood in this very same spot, dressed in this very same outfit, and if you visited then and you visited now, you probably think this is my church outfit. Well, no, it's not. But I wear this uniform proudly because of what it represents about being a leader of young people. And 2 months ago, I presented a sermon that was titled, You Belong. Because in all the years that I've worked with youth, and I thought about it, and it's been about 20 years now, there's many things that the youth need, but one of the greatest things that they need is to belong. And you know what? Another great thing that the youth need is to feel special. And today is that day. I want to call on Alex, our graduating guide, to come forward, Alex. I told Alex about this when he arrived this morning. I didn't want to tell him beforehand because I didn't want him not to turn up. But this is young Alex. I forgot my clicker. Alex, I want you to look at the screen as we go through this. Because this, Alex, is your life. You were born on the 21st of August in the year 2000. It was life before your birth that shaped who you are today. And that's what we're going to focus on today. Yes, you were born on the 21st of August. But before that, your first day in your mother's tummy, you weren't known as Alex. You were known as Zygote. There you are, Alex. Do you want to share anything about that day that you remember?
Oh, wow.
Wow, yeah. You began life as a single cell. On day 4, we decided, no, we're going to change your name. You're now called Marula. Not such a male name, is it? But you've gone from a single cell, Alex, to multiple cells. Each cell, as it divided exactly and precisely, contained your unique genetic code, otherwise known as your DNA. That's what made you you. That's what made you special. You got any thoughts about what was going on for you at this time in your life? No, I didn't think so. Then by day 6, we changed your name yet again and we called you Blastocyst. Now that's a better name, right?
Sounds like a boy's name.
Sounds more like a boy's name. But we don't want to stop there. We want to fast forward. We need to go to your 3-week birthday. There you are. 3 weeks of age. You're cute.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. You've grown so much that you stand as tall as a sesame seed. Just 3 millimeters tall. But greater still, you prove once again just how special you are. Do you remember that time?
No.
No, you don't. Didn't think so. You were a bit young. But for the first time in your life ever, your heart began to beat. That's what made you you. That's what made you special. If we fast forward 10 weeks, Alex, there you are at 13 weeks of age. Your growth continues at such remarkable pace, you now stand as tall as a chapstick. Just 7.5 centimetres tall you are, and now you have legs. But there's one other thing that makes you unique at this point, Alex. And that is, you now have fingerprints. No one else has fingers like you. They are your uniqueness to this world. As we move along, we find you at 24 weeks. Do you remember this time?
No.
I think your mother does, because you made her look like she swallowed a soccer ball. Because in her tummy, that's what you looked like. But that was just you growing. You'd finally grown to a point that if you had to, you could sustain your own life outside your mother's womb. In fact, you'd grown so much that you were now as tall as a cob of corn.
What do you know?
Then we continue on in your growth cycle, and we get to 39 weeks, 1 week off full term. 1 week before you are to come out with any luck. Your growth rate was so rapid in those early weeks from the very first day to this point that if you had continued growing at that same rate to your current age, you would be as tall as a semi-trailer, and you would weigh just as much.
Wow, yes, I would.
But that's not what made you you at this point. You see, it's in this last week that most of us grow something that is very unique to us and is exceptionally unique to you. In this last week, you grew your hair.
That's true.
And what wonderful hairdo that is. From the beginning of your conception, the day one, in the 270 odd days in your mother's womb, you went from one single cell to over 200 million cells, making an amazing and complex organisation of body systems. But what makes you unique at this point in time in your life is now up to you. But I can tell you for one thing, this whole process, up until your birth, was ordained by God because you are special to Him. Alex, this is your life.
Thanks, Hayden.
You know, that process is the same for us all, except for the hair. We go through that whole thing. Our heart beats at the similar time. Our fingerprints are produced individually for us. We are special because that's how God made us. You know, the Bible says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, it says, "In the image of God, He created man. Man and woman, He created them." You know, if you read the account of creation before that period of time, we get the creation process each day starting with what? Do you remember? Each day, God said, and it was. God said, and it was. God said, "Let there be birds and those things that fly in the air," and it was. God said, "Let there be fish and so forth in the sea," and it was. But when it came to creating man, we don't have God said. Because God just didn't say it, He made it. Well, you fast forward in the book of Genesis to Genesis chapter 2 and you come to verse 7, and it says, God formed man and breathed life into him. Now, I don't know about you adventurers, but when I form something, if I was given Play-Doh, can you stand back and say, I want to make a fish? No. We need to form it with our hands. In other words, when the Bible tells us that God formed man, he got the dust of the ground, the Bible says, and he used his hands to create us. Why? Because we are special. We are unique. I can almost imagine God performing CPR on the dust. Because it says God formed man and breathed into his nostrils. And I don't know how many of you have performed CPR on a person before, but the first thing you do is you get down on your knees and you get close to them. And you breathe for them. God formed each one of us with his hands because you are special. Pathfinders, adventurers, I want you to know you are special. You are unique. If we can bring up on the screen Psalm 139 verse 13, I want to show you how special you are to God. We'll just wait for it to come up. Psalm 139 verse 13. I'll read it from the Bible. Psalm 139 and verse 13 says, For you formed my inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That's how special you are. You were formed by God. Then if we go to Ephesians chapter 1 verse 4, Ephesians chapter 1 verse 4, and it says, just as he chose us in him, Christ Jesus, before the foundation of the world. In other words, you are so special to God that you were thought of before God even formed the world. Before the foundation of the world, you were thought of, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, having predestined us to adoption as sons by Jesus Christ. That's how special you are to God. Adventurers, pathfinders, well done on another good year. But if there's one thing I want you to take away from today, it's not what's in your plastic envelope. It's that you have been made specifically, exactly the way you are by God. You are special. You are unique. Thank you.